Help support our coverage using Blueberry, the community that gives creators the ability to make money, get detailed audience measurements, and host their audio and video. Get 30 days to try out the service using promo code Blueberry004. That's BLUBRRY004.
Hello there, my name is Don Bain, and you are? How are you, sir?
Good, how about you?
Great, and what company are you with?
I'm with FindMyClinicalTrial down here in Eureka Park.
All right, tell us all about what you do.
Yeah, so we're a software tech company. We started about 6 months ago.
Okay,
and
so you're brand new.
Brand new, yeah, just incorporated. Team of 4 of us now.
Okay.
And so we created a software that connects patients to clinical trials, but also to hospitals, doctors, providers, and then directly to the clinical research sites. Sort of the one-stop shop for patients to look for clinical trials, communicate with their doctors, and then enroll directly into them.
Okay, so if I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, for example, and I need to find out who's running the clinicals, I would go to your website?
Yeah, you can check us out at FindMyClinicalTrial.org. So right now our beta version just got released, and so you could go in there, put in any medical information that you're okay with putting in, look through it, see what clinical trials are available to you, and then eventually you'll have the option to communicate that with your doctor. You can share it, save it, share it with family members, and then eventually you'll have a click of a button where you can start the enrollment process.
Okay, so prior to your website, I'd have to go to the hospital, the doctor, and say, what can we do? What's next? Who treats this, that, and the other thing?
Yeah, so that's how it used to be, right? Before, you'd go on clinicaltrials.gov, sort of hope for the best, see if you can find an email, or you talk with your doctor. But now we're really putting the power to the patient, right? We want to make sure that patient has the capability and the ability to find the clinical trials themselves and their family members too.
So is it only clinical trials?
Currently, yes. Yeah.
Okay. How deeply do you go into the efficacy of the clinical trial? It's been 80% efficient, 60%, blah, 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 blah.
It's difficult, right? So we're not the ones running the clinical trials, but
I understand that.
So we put a lot of the educational material for the patients, for the doctors as well, to better understand what's going on. Because at the end of the day, going into a clinical trial, it's an altruistic thing, right? You go in, you don't know if you're going to get the placebo pill or if you're going to get the actual medication. And so we really try to communicate, work with health partners, community health centers, hospitals, and engage patient advocacy groups, nonprofits that we partner with, to really make sure that patients are understanding what they're going into. Because we've seen it's one of the biggest barriers is, what is a clinical trial? What does it mean to be a part of a clinical trial? And we see these communities, there's a lack of diversity in these clinical trials, and it's companies like us that are trying to make a difference in engaging those communities and engaging the public.
So how do you find out what the clinical trials are and where they are? Do you actively seek that, or you're hoping that these clinical trial facilities, places, companies are going to you and saying, hey, here's what we have? So
right now we pull all our clinical trials from the clinicaltrials.gov website. So we use their API, and they have about 500,000 clinical trials that are active in recruiting currently.
There's 500,000 clinical trials?
Active in recruiting currently in the U.S. and abroad. And so we have all those clinical trials on our website. We are a D.C. local. We're based in D.C., and so we're planning on starting there, working with the universities and hospitals, and expanding from there.
Why would I go to your website? Is it free to go to your website?
Completely free to patients and hospitals.
How do you make money?
So we sell to clinical research organizations for a subscription-based model where they can have the option to have an ease in access and facilitate the patient intake for these clinical trials.
So they would pay you because you can facilitate a person signing up for that particular.
It's much easier for a patient if they have already the survey at their hands to see if they qualify or don't qualify.
Now, is that done through the computer, or is it done through a live person?
So it's done through the computer right now. So it'll be also available on phone, again, for accessibility. But so you'd be able, as a patient, you go on your phone, look for a clinical trial that interests you, talk with your doctor about it all through the phone, as well as in person if you'd like. And then eventually it's a one-stop button. You click on it, you'll fill out the survey requirements and see if you qualify for the clinical trial, and then the clinical trial site will reach out back to you and see if you're able to enroll.
Pretty interesting. And what's the website that people would go to?
So right now it's FindMyClinicalTrial.org. And we have all our information there, and you can try out our beta. All 500,000 clinical trials are currently active right now.
FindMyClinicalTrial.org. I can even remember that. So that's good. You got a good name for that.
Yeah, thought of it like a year and a half ago, right?
No, it's a great name. Now I would put in what clinical I am looking for.
Yeah, so you could just say, let's say you were looking for a hypertension clinical trial, right? You would be able to put hypertension, say you live in California, or in this case being in Las Vegas, Nevada,
Right.
and you'll see all the clinical trials that are available to
Now,
you
will
in
I
that
know
area.
how long those clinical trials are in, what phase they're in, phase 1, phase 2, phase
Yep.
3?
You can also filter through that on our website as well if you're interested. We have a lot of different options, but we also try to keep it simple for patients who are
Would I
trying
be able to
understand.
find what the best clinical trial is out there? What has the best results to date?
Results today, it's difficult, right? But you'll be able to see who's sponsoring the clinical trials, so it'll
Well,
be
so I see that
industry and
Merck
all
is
that.
sponsoring a clinical trial. I mean, okay, but it doesn't really tell me how efficient that trial is. Is it's in phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3? Obviously, if it's in the last phase, it's doing pretty good because it wouldn't get there if it wasn't. But a lot of these clinical 1 trials, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Some of them are,
No, it's difficult, right? But, when you think clinical trials, people are thinking, okay, they're trying some drug on me or some vaccine.
Right.
But a lot of the times, it's just, they're trying different procedures and different methods of doing
yeah,
things.
they don't know. That's why they're clinical
Exactly.
trials.
And sometimes it's really like I was looking online the other day, and one of them, it was a hypertension trial. They were just monitoring blood pressure for a couple weeks, and patients get paid to do this as well.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's always been weird to me to make money off that. I mean,
It's interesting. It's good for the patients, right? But, we have to compensate because it's hard for people to take time off of work.
Oh,
and to
for
put
sure.
that.
Yeah. I get that. So what other areas do you expect to expand to?
Yeah, no, so we're hopefully partnering with some companies in the patient adherence space. And so not only would we be able to facilitate that recruitment, but we'd also be able to now get initial data on those patients. We would send them different blood pressure monitors, glucose monitors, different kind of things that might be related, usually in the cardiovascular chronic disease space. But we're really trying to be the one-stop shop to facilitate clinical trials, because right now sites are overwhelmed with the amount of different softwares and platforms they have to use. And so the more we can tackle onto this and simplify that process, it's more cost-effective for them, it's easier for the patients, and at the end of the day, it's good. Drug prices are going to lower from it because companies are spending upwards of $200 million to get a drug on the market.
How did you think about this idea? Where did you get this from?
Yeah, so I'm actually in college. I'm 20 years old. I started my whole team go to American University in Washington, D.C.
You're 20 years old, the company's 3 months old, and you're here at CES, and he's interviewing with me.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been a great journey. I come from the healthcare advocacy world.
Where are you in school?
American University in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And so we're out of the incubator over there. I got to give them a pitch. American University, the Valoric Center for Entrepreneurship. They helped us be here. But we've been raising money, friends and family, and it's been really successful so far. We're anticipating the next year to have the software ready to be out and given to hospitals and patients for free.
What are you trying to accomplish here at CES? What's your goal here?
We're raising capital here, but also it's really interesting to meet with some of the patient adherence and the digital health space here, because there's some really cool companies that are doing some really neat things that we might be able to partner with. And it's also great. We hear a lot from people, like everyone's a patient at the end of the day, and so people are coming to us and I'm looking for a clinical trial.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. I mean,
yeah.
I've had unfortunate experience with that stuff.
Yeah. No, but so the idea came to me. I was working in healthcare advocacy, and I still do, on the patient advocacy, but also on the lobbying side in Washington, D.C. I really identified this gap of diversity, the lack of diversity in clinical trials, and the need to really start engaging those patients and doing it in a way that isn't abrasive and isn't necessarily there needs to be a better way of doing it.
How secure is your server that all this data is on?
Yeah, right now. So we're in the process of getting HIPAA certified and all that, and so we're working on that. Right now we get about, we don't store any patient data, so that's one of the things. And we don't require, a lot of other companies will require medical data before you can even look for a clinical trial, and that's a huge burden, because let's say your mother had Alzheimer's. Now, next thing you know, you might not know all their medical history, right? And so it's difficult for you as the son or the daughter to find which clinical trial might best suit them. And so it places the burden unnecessarily on patients, and so we're trying to alleviate that as much as we can.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us today. It's fascinating. I wish you the very best of luck, but something tells me you're going to succeed, because I could see the fire in your eyes, and that's a good thing. At 20 years old, your mother and father would be very proud of you. I'm even proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for coming
nice
on.
You.
Best of luck to you.
You too.
Thank you.
The Tech Podcast Network CES 2024 coverage is executive produced by Michelle Mendez. Technical directors are Kurt Corliss and Adam Barker. Associate producers are Nancy Ertz, Clinton Millsap, Sergio Velasquez, and Terry Willingham. Voiceover by Aaron Hurst. Our hosts are Marlo Anderson, Don Bain, Todd Cochran, Scott Ertz, and Christopher Jordan. Studio and equipment are provided by PLUGHITZ Productions. This has been a Tech Podcast Network broadcast, copyright 2024.